Hi, my name's Jonathan Hicks. I'm back at the Dice Cup, and today I'm joined by Matt,
Steve,
and we just finished playing Origins First Builders, which is a board and dice game, and is going to feel like a heavy Euro, similar to the other sort of tea-type games. It's quite involved. The theme I don't really get. It's a sort of Mayan temple, but aliens have landed, and these are the alien spacecraft, and you can kind of send your dice, which are like workers, to the alien spacecraft to get advice, and essentially you can take actions. Now, in terms of how it plays, in fact, this is kind of the end of a round, so all the dice are out here, but typically you're going to have a stack of dice in front of you, and they sit in these little trays like this. So earlier on in the game, like I might have had dice, let's say if it's a lower number, like this, and maybe this one's here, and you can use these to take these actions, and you're essentially deciding one of the aliens to go and consult. But the aliens have a certain number on them, which is their knowledge level or something, and you need to make sure that the numbers on your dice are at least as high as the numbers on the wheels, otherwise you can't go there. If you go there with a matching coloured die, you don't have to, but if I send the orange die to the orange wheel, then I get to take more action. So, for example, if I were to take the 5 here, the purple 5, and send it to here, oh, actually, I can't, because you can see it requires a 6. But there's one resource in the game that will help you with that, which is wisdom. And if I spend 1 wisdom, then it means I get to add 1, if you like, to try and meet the requirement. So this 5 allows me to place here, even though it needs a 6. Because it's purple, I'm going to get to take this action, and then even if it isn't purple, you always get to take one of the top 2 actions. You can see I could acquire 3 wisdom, or I could spend a stone to move up on 2 temple, well, twice on 1 temple. So there were temple tracks like many of these games, and at the end of the game, the higher you get on these temple tracks, you can see the more points you're going to get. You actually get points for the lowest 2, so it's no good doing lots on 1 temple. It's your lowest 2, so in this case, black is going to get 11 points for that one, and I think the other lowest one will be this one, which will also be, so that's 16. So you're getting points for going up on temples at the end of the track, end of the game, but then you're also, because it's a purple dice, I get to do this action. I can pay a food in order to build something. Now, there's a lot of buildings in this game, and a big part of the game, you're kind of acquiring one of the buildings from this row here, which, depending on how far down it is, will cost you a certain amount of wisdom, but also the building itself will require a certain amount of stone. When you build the building, it goes here. So you start with the agora and the palace, and you're acquiring buildings sort of to put around the side, in order to try and form closed squares effectively. Once you've done that, you can put dice in here to try and score the buildings again, if you like, but also you're getting points at the end of the game. I'll sort of come back to how that works in a second. But for instance, with the orange die, if I wanted to place this die over here, you can see I just can't. It needs a 4, I've only got a 1. I don't have enough wisdom to be able to place there, so I can't place there. So if I can find another spot, like this blue one here, I could put an orange die there, that's fine. I don't get the blue action, which would be this one, but I do get to pick one of these top 2. So I can just acquire some resources. You can see I can get a stone, a food, and a scroll. So a lot of the time you're, as I say, putting dice out, but each time you put a dice down, you're advancing the wheel by 1. So it means future dice placements there become more difficult. If you get all the way around to a 6, though, then after a 6, it kind of wraps round to a 1 or something. You get some new aliens or something. You're not blocking spaces, so it doesn't matter if other people have been there, you can always go there. What matters is the restriction on the alien wheel. So in terms of actions, you can see some actions are just getting you resources. This gets you stone, this gets you food, this lets you build a building, etc. A couple of important ones, though, would be you can get a new dice. You start off the game with just 2 of these little bins, which hold the dice, but you can pay food, which increases your population, if you like. So if I pay 6 food, this unlocks this one. And then you can, once you have the space for it, you can take this action to acquire one of the dice from the middle. So if I wanted to take this blue dice, for example, I'd have to pay 2 wisdom, and then it goes in a free one of these, and then on my next turn I can use it like anything else. So that's how you're sort of increasing your workers. And something else I haven't really talked about then is the fighting. Red typically is going to do the fighting. So you can see this will let you, the round arena thing lets you go up on the military track, and then these crossed weapons lets you actually take a fight action. How does that work? Well, this is the arena track. So if you're here and you go up, you sort of move 1 space, move another space. So each time you're doing this, you kind of hop over these, and when you hop over one of those things, you get to take one of these, which lets you take an extra turn after your turn. So you can kind of take 2 turns in a row with one of those, which can be handy. But then when you actually fight, you score you get the resource of the position you're in, and then you get a point for each of these symbols that you've passed, but you also get points for people who are lower down than you. So in this situation, I'd get 1, 2, 3 points, and I got a food if I fight when I'm at this stage. So using the military actions to advance, and then obviously fight to cash in and get the resources. You can get quite a lot of gold, for example, is a wild resource. That's very handy in the game. But potentially, if you get all the way around here, you're getting a lot of points at the end of the game, obviously. And each time you're scoring it, you're getting points for each of these things around the track. So that's the military thing. So coming back to the buildings, as I say, you're buying the buildings and building from the supply. When you place them, they do their thing. So this one gets you some stone, for example, depending on how many empty spaces around the quarry. That makes sense. Some of them will get you points. This gets you 2 VPs for every yellow building. These buildings here. So I've got 3 of those. That would be good. And you're trying to fill them in to match certain patterns. So at the start of the game, you can see this one here. If you can get 2 yellows kind of diagonally, a red, and then anything else, which I think I managed to achieve here, you can close off the building, which uses up one of your dice. So one of the dice that's in here has to go in here, so you never get to use that dice again. You sort of lost a worker, but then you will get 15 points, and the first person to do this also gets some gold. Other people who do it afterwards will get 8 points. So you're kind of racing to try and complete these buildings, but also when you score this, all of the matching coloured buildings will score again. So when I complete this yellow building will also get me another 2 points for free one of my yellow buildings, and I'll get more stone. So this is quite important. At the end of the game, you're also getting points for the numbers on the die. So 6s are very powerful as workers because they let you go places very easily. But at the end of the game, you're going to get points by adding up the numbers on all of one colour dice. So in this case, that would be 12. And you multiply it by the height of these towers on your palace. And you can play gold as you go through the game as an action to increase the height of these towers. But gold is quite a difficult resource to get hold of. So you can see I've only managed to increase this one up to level 3. So it would be 3 times 12 would be 36 points at the end of the game. And I get 1 for the orange times 11 points for my orange dice. So building and then closing off these areas is an important way of getting points. So at the end of the game, as I say, you're getting points for buildings here, how high you are on the temples, other little things like military track, depending on how many. Once you use a 6, it doesn't wrap back down to a 1. When you use a 6 as a worker rather than putting it in there, then it actually goes down here, and the more dice you have down here, you can see the more points you're getting. If you unlock all of your little trays, you're getting the points. So it's a few different ways of getting points, and at the end, most points wins. What do we think?
Wow. So it is kind of, your typical Euro kind of things where it's like, oh, I want to do this, but to do that I need those resources. So first I need to do this, and then, and constantly I was kind of going, okay, I need to do this first, and then next turn I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to build that, and then Steve comes along and builds that, and then my entire plan is right out the window. Throughout the whole game I managed to collect 0 gold. I only managed to build 1 of these dice in the city thing. I did terribly. If Jonathan looks at the scores down here, it looks like we're quite close, but they've lapped me at least once. Just once? Just once. Okay, just once. They've only lapped me once. These guys have played it before, so that's entirely the reason why I got lapped, I think. But yeah, I think it's a really good game. It definitely needs at least one try to get your head around how everything works, I think. But these are really important, taking 2 actions in a turn, in a row, because then you can stop people gazumping you. But I collected 2 of them, didn't use either of them. So yeah, I think it's really good, but oh my god, my brains have melted out of my ears. I want to play it again.
All right.
Yeah.
Steve?
There's a lot of things going on that I like in games. They've got a very good balancing mechanism that if you're fighting for someone else with the same tactical as the buildings, that building's invariably going to be more expensive to buy. If you're going to the same areas and I've got a few orange dice and so has Jonathan, we're both spinning that wheel around quite fast. As soon as it's a 1, we're going orange, 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 orange. It spins around to a 5 or a 6, and then we'll think, I haven't got the resources to go to certain spots. So you've always got a choice. I've got a 5 and a 1 here. I really want to do the 5 action first, but I might need to put the 1 down first. The number of towers aren't even in the games. They've got a balancing thing there. The scoring things, if there's a lot of scoring for orange, there are very few orange towers, so you kind of balance it out like that. However, I just don't think it's balanced. We've played 2 games of it, and last game we considered one strategy to be more dominant because Jonathan nearly lapped me last game and it did lap the other player. And so we played it again, and Jonathan and I avoided doing that strategy much, if at all, to see if it was balanced. And our scores, even though it was our second game, were Jonathan's scores like 50 points lower. 50 points is quite a lot, and I think it feels like you can't pick a strategy and go with it and it'd be good. It's so hard to move up on the temple track. There's no way you're getting to the top of all 3, which is one of the game end conditions. There's just no way you're doing it. Because someone else will end the game, or someone else will be scoring loads of points from the military strategy, which I think is very dominant. You're going around, you get to the end of the military strategy, and even if other people catch up with you, you go there and you score like 6 or 7 points in action. You just go, I'm going to go pick up 3 stone and fight in the military track or whatever, wherever this red token is, it'll be under another action. So you pick up some stuff, get a red dice, get 7 points, and every dice you're going there, you're just getting points for the military stuff. So I like what they're trying to do. I don't, because it's not balanced, it doesn't feel that fun to play.
Rating?
5.
Matt?
So, I've only played it once, so I haven't kind of seen this unbalancedness. So, from first play, I would probably rate it 6 or 7. But if, as Steve says, over a number of plays, it turns out that you do that strategy or you lose, then that's going to affect the score. So, after the first play, I'd say 6.5. Maybe 7, but that might change if what Steve says is correct about the unbalancedness.
Okay. I really enjoyed playing it. It gives you a very similar feel to these other heavy Euros like Tolkien, Teotihuacan, that kind of thing. Lots of intricacy. So as Matt was saying, you want to get this dice to take that action, but if someone else takes it before you, they're going to spin the wheel up, so you'll need an extra scroll to do that. Lots of things to consider. So I really like the thinking involved there. It's definitely a brain burner, as Matt says, but once you've played it a bit, it's very satisfying. First game we played, I went very hard on the military. Just ramped all the way to the top as fast as I could, and then just keep taking the attack action, and you get tons of points every time you do that. You can get like 7 or 8 points each time you take that one action, and I did it loads and loads in the first game, and as I say, I had almost 100 points more than Steve, and a lot more points than any of us got on this game. It just feels that military, if you go hard on it, is way stronger than anything else. So that is an issue. We haven't really seen a way around that issue, but this game we completely avoided military. Matt didn't do any military either, and it felt much more balanced. It was very close this game, but still nowhere near as many points as when we went hard on military. Having said that, you can end the game sooner or later. There's different end games conditions, and you can force the game to end sooner by taking certain actions. And obviously, depending on how long the game lasts, people are going to get more points. So it's not necessarily a certain number of points is a good score every game. It depends on how long the game lasts in terms of when people trigger that in-game condition. So I really enjoy playing it. It does have issues. I think I'd be on a 7 out of 10 for enjoyment, but obviously that would be higher if it didn't have the balancing issues. All right, thanks very much for watching. That was Origins First Builders.